Well, we are the Science family. This is my father, Reyes Science, and my mother, Gloria. She couldn't make it. She was on vacation somewhere else. But we live in South Texas now. And my dad lives in Edinburgh, Texas, and I live in Far, Texas. And, well, my dad came to the labor camp way before me, when he was a young kid in 1952 till 1973. But I was born in 62, and we used to live here in the labor camp as migrants every year since I was born till the age of about 12 years old. And then after that, we moved away and haven't lived here since, but got a lot of memories here in this camp. I used to go to the little school, La Escuelita, and my dad, he owns a trucking company, and he started it here in Caldwell, and he's still trucking, and we still have a trucking company. And we were very blessed to be here, and thank God that, we got raised here, and like everybody's been saying, we live like a community, and it is. We had a lot of friends, and everybody knew each other, and don't know where to start, but it was very, very fun to be here, and our industry has kept us coming through here. We go here through Caldwell pretty often. We run out of South Texas and back into Washington with our trucks over the road, and occasionally I do get to meet and see people that I used to live with or grew up with here in Caldwell. But it's been a very, very good experience, and as soon as we heard about this reunion, we got together and planned on it and made sure we were here, and I'm glad we're here. And I don't know if my dad, you have a few words you want to say?
When we moved from here from 73, we went up to Hermiston, Oregon. But every time we had a chance on the weekends, I was going to come over here.
Yeah. So I know that we got a lot of things that we could probably talk about, but the main one is that living here in the camp was a very happy experience and a lot of good memories. And I hope that everybody that came here we get to talk to and see, and everybody enjoy our company and have a great time. So, well, I got a real funny one. When this camp, my experience, I was a kid riding a bike when they first built the asphalt roads, because they didn't used to have good asphalt. The first day that they put asphalt, I was riding my bike racing with some friends, and coming from the big houses this way, somehow something got in my way and I fell off my bike, and I scraped my whole side of my body on the pavement. And with all the fresh oil and everything, you should have seen me. It was a sight. I had to go to the doctor and everything, and I guess the oil got me infected. It started from the top of my head, all my right side, all the way to the bottom of my toe where I skidded. And that's something I remember all the time with my school pictures. But I'm trying to remember more. There's a lot more. We used to always play football here. And well, one thing that I do remember, and I thank the Lord, that I know that Rose Archuleta was a big influence in this camp. She was our influence in our catechism classes, and it was her that got us started, and we had CCD, catechism classes, and it was her that got us to, a lot of us kids here, to make our first communion, and it was that's very inspirational to me also, because I'm still very involved with my church. I'm a Knight of Columbus, and my kids are involved in everything, but everything that happens in my church, every once in a while, I go back to my roots, and I think of where it started. I know that I got baptized, but I don't remember because I was a baby, but my first communion is a very inspirational thing, and I always remember Rose Archuleta and her family for it, so that's a big plus in my life.
Yes, my name is Anthony Martinez, and I lived here with my family. The years was 1951 to 53. That's 3 years, early 50s. I now live in Nampa for the last 3 years. However, I have been raised primarily outside of this area up until about 3 years ago in California and in Arizona. I have vivid memories of living in this camp. I was a child. I was 7 years old when we moved here in 1951 when they had the old Army barracks. It was one common room in which we all lived. I was the oldest and oldest of 17 children. And so we had a lot of kids around when I was growing up, living in these facilities here. A lot has happened over the last number of years, since the 50s. That's what, almost 60 years, actually. Seems that way. It is. I have been very fortunate in that I have had a very nice career. I went on as a farm worker. I worked in the fields till I was 20 years old. So in the last number of years, I was successful. I'm retired military as a lieutenant colonel. I'm retired from a university in San Francisco. I now teach in Boise, at Boise State, and have been very fortunate to have grown up as a farm worker, but was able to go to school in high school, college, 3 universities, University of California included in that. And I was very fortunate to come back to this area and meet someone who is from this area, a former farm worker, and we got married 3 years ago, and that's what brought me back to here. It's a real joy to come back here, and I did visit this camp because I had some very vivid memories. Some not so happy memories. Some friends drowned in the canal that was nearby when we were growing up. You know, children were not able to go to the field sometimes, and so we would hang out in the canal that's not too far from here. So some of the children who could not swim, we lost them to those kind of accidents, as I recall. But it's been many years, of course, so I only have the memories of those 3 years growing up. A lot of barbecues, a lot of goats. We ate a lot of goats, barbecue goats, I guess, in those days. And I talked to my mother just the other day, and she said, yeah, she had very vivid memories of growing up here. She used to be a farm worker as well. And my father passed away a number of years ago, but he always talked about the early years here, because the second year that we were in Idaho was living here in Caldwell. We came to Idaho Falls in 1950 from Texas, and came regularly every year until the early 60s, till 64. But only those 3 years was here in Caldwell. I would say that I've been very fortunate, very lucky to have had this experience of working here. It was a family, but I was able to break away from the tradition of working in the farms and earn some college degrees in an education. And today I'm in the process of writing a book on that story of having grown up in places like this. So again, it's a real joy, real pleasure to be here celebrating the wonderful music in the background, which is symbolic of the culture that we have. The culture is a beautiful culture. Our people have a lot of dreams, and it is my hope personally to be able to help our families and friends who still live around to do some good things for families and other young men and women, especially in the area of education. A typical day, of course, I was 7 years old. Occasionally, we did go into the field when I was 7, 9 years old. So we would go with our parents to work in the sugar beets. I think that was the one work that we did a lot in this area, with sugar beets. And we got familiar with the kind of work that was there. So some of us started working at a very young age. But a typical day here was taking care of my brothers and sisters. You know, there were few. So that was the responsibility. That's the oldest in the family. We took care of the kids, and we used to hang out and take care of each other for the most part until our parents came back from work. And there was no playgrounds, there was no schools as such. When we were here, there was no tiendita that I recall, no store. I think that may have come a little later after that. So it was basically, like I said earlier, a typical day might include walking down to the canal, which was nearby, and sometimes kids would swim there. So that was pretty much it. That would be during the weekday. On weekends, you know, we got together as family and would often have barbecues. We would get together in one of the local area, kind of a park area here, and there would always be plenty of food. And like I said, it was usually goat. It was not one of my favorite foods, but it was food. And so that would have been a typical day in some ways. You wake up early in the morning, maybe 3 or 4 when people are getting to go to work, and you're out there and start playing with your friends. By the time I was 8, a year later or so, a typical day was working in the fields. You're there helping your parents. So it was not like just hanging around the park. But there was no school for sure that other parts of the generation there eventually did get to. So that was one example of that. So that's sort of my short story. It's been a great train ride, I would say. I love the fact that I did grow up in this environment, but like I said earlier, we were able to move on. And my family lives in Arizona now, except my own immediate family, my wife, here in this area. But it's a real joy and a pleasure to be here with everyone. It's a wonderful celebration, and it's a real joy and a pleasure to be here.
Mi nombre es Ricardo Nava, hijo de Irineo Nava, la familia Nava, que empezaron a venir al campo de Caldwell desde el 1949 hasta el 68. Nosotros vinimos de Far, Texas. Mi papá fue uno de los primeros troqueros que empezó a traer gente a Caldwell, a trabajar en el jape, betabel, la papa. Y en tiempos vivimos en vagones en el desierto, en Aberdeen, Idaho Falls, Rupert, Burley, hacíamos todas las cosechas aquí desde marzo hasta el último de noviembre, cuando regresábamos a Texas. Yo me quedé mi primer año aquí en el campo de Caldwell, cuando tenía 12 años. Y sobreviví. Después ya no pude regresar a la familia ni a la labor. Conseguí trabajo en la Idaho Department Store en Caldwell y desde ahí seguí estudiando. Terminé el high school en Nampa High School el 68 y después me fui a Boise State. Y después de ahí me fui para la Universidad de Oregon, donde terminé el bachillerato y me recibí de maestro. Después regresé a Nampa a enseñar escuela en Lakeview Elementary School. Y después me fui para Salem, Portland, Eugene. Y enseñé escuela por 30 años y fui consejero de salud mental también por 5 años. En ese tiempo he tenido la oportunidad de viajar por todo el mundo, por 75 países, y llegué a conocer muchas cosas del mundo que no todos los migrantes tienen la oportunidad. My roots start here at the Caldwell Labor Camp from back in 1949 when I was born, and I've lived at the camp here until 1968. I was one of the first persons to travel here with a Honda 90 way back then in the 60s. Most of the families I met here, they came from the Rio Grande Valley, from Eagle Pass, Texas, and all over the state of Texas. And my dad was one of the original crew leaders that brought people here from way back since 1949. Without this opportunity that I had here, I would not have done what I have accomplished all over the years. Now I live in Troutdale, Oregon, and I'm an interpreter for the courts for medical facilities. And I still have a 9-year-old daughter at home, single dad, and I enjoy all the different things that I have experienced from this place. Originally, coming from Far, Texas, we were making about $2 or $3 a day, working all day, 6, 7, 8 hours. And our family of 11, it wasn't enough to support us. Even though we're 5-generation Tex-Mex, we had our own house that we owned in Texas, but that was still not enough to survive the winters there. And when we started coming here, we were getting 75 cents an hour at the time. And sometimes we would get 8 cents for every sack of potatoes we picked, and because we had 11 people in our family, we were able to make 5 times more here during one summer than what we would have made in Texas, all of us working at the same time. Probably the most challenging thing that happened was that I was 12 years old at the time. When I stayed here by myself at the labor camp, I was the only person living in the barracks. The whole camp was closed. And it was probably the hardest time in my life that year because I was only 12 years old, and I survived by catching pigeons from the old barn that was here, by going around to the farmers around the area, getting potatoes, fruit to survive the winter. And because there was no running water and all of that, I generally had to take my showers at school during gym time at Caldwell Junior High School. I stayed here by myself. My family went back to Texas, and after 13 years of going back and forth, I told my parents, I'm not doing this again. I want to stay in school. And thanks to a teacher I had named Daryl Didi, he was my science teacher, he convinced me that I should stay in school so that I could do something with my life. And I followed his advice, and sure enough, I was able to complete 6 years of university studies, became a mental health counselor, a master's degree in counseling, BA in education, and taught for 30 years in the public schools. Un día típico en el campo era que venía uno, salía del campo a la mañana como a las 4 de la mañana. We would leave here about 4:30 in the morning. We were in the field by 5. We would work until sundown. Normally we'd be getting home around 8:30, 9. And everybody went straight to the showers, cold showers, because there was no heat. And then we would go to bed, straight to bed. Next morning, it was pretty much the same thing. It was 5 days, 6 days a week sometimes. And most of the people had enjoyed the evening on Saturday or Sunday night at the dance, which was held right here in this location. And it was one of the best times where everybody got together. Most people knew each other. It was como una familia. And now this brings old memories. I'm glad to be here because I have met at least 30 people so far that I hadn't seen in 40 years. And it's a pleasure to be back here and to share my experience with the people here.
Okay, my name is Ricardo Ramos. I was here since about 1957 to 1974. My mom and dad was Antonio and Otilia Ramos. We grew up here when we were young kids. We had a lot of fun. Now I've been in Houston, Texas ever since 1975. And I've been working for UPS ever since. For 37 years I've been working at UPS, enjoying it too. So now I'm glad to be here with y'all. I love Idaho, and I'll be coming back anytime soon. Glad y'all made this. Go ahead, Tony.
I'm Antonio Ramos Jr. My parents Antonio Ramos and Otilia Ramos, and I moved to Houston in 1977. I had a great time here in the labor camp. Went to school in Caldwell, and moved away to Houston, and I live in Fort, Texas now. Would go work all day long and then come in the afternoon and drive around and just talk to friends and stuff like that, you know. Had a great time. Park over here by the tiendita and, you know, chase girls my brother did, you know.
No, he's lying now.
That's about it. I mean.
That's it.
My name is Baltasar Gomez Jr., son of Baltasar and Carmen Gomez. You guys got to excuse my voice. I got sick about 5 years ago, so I speak a little bit different. But we came to this country in 1960. There was a man, his name was Jose Gomez, the father of Homer Gomez. And he invited my dad to come down and work. I was just a youngster, maybe 9 years old, back in 1960. And we came to this camp, and they went to work in the hops for Vernon Bat. The foreman was Irineo Nava. Well, when we lived here in the camp, we went to school. I only went to the 8th grade. The reason why is that we came in 60, we went back to Texas. When we came back in 61, we never went back. But it was way back then, when I started school, I had to work in the hops. So they kept me out of school for 2 months. So I dropped out in the 8th grade. But in 1990, I went back to school and got my GED. And now I work for a company called Idaho Sand and Gravel. We build roads. I'm an operator, and I run the trucks. And that's about it. My folks, my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, they worked in the hops. They were 50 hours a week. I was just growing up. With time, my dad became the foreman right here on Wagner Road and Mink. There was a hop company. It was called Inrose Farms. Then Vernon Bat bought Notice Hop Company. And they had 500 acres of hops and 500 acres of mint. In 1976, my dad died in an accident going to Mexico. And Vernon asked me if I could run the crew. I used to go to Texas and contract people to come and work in the hops for us. By that time, we moved out of the camp in 68, bought a house in Caldwell. When my dad passed away, I became the foreman. Inrose Farms and Notice Company was the companies that I worked for, owned by Vernon Bat. His cousin was Phil Bat, the governor of Idaho, way back then. I was a foreman for 25 years, and I met a lot of people. A lot of the people worked for me from this camp here where we're at. I became a musician, started playing since I was 11, started playing professional when I was 21, till about 5 years ago, when I got sick from my voice. But it was really nice to have this story that I'm saying. The people that I met here were wonderful, and I'm seeing a lot of them here today that I hadn't seen for 30 years or better. Yeah. We used to, just the two guys that you had here talking, Ricardo and his brother, they had a Mach 1 Ford Mustang, and I had a 69 Camaro Super Sport, and we had a race. They just barely had built the freeway up here. It was crazy, but we went 130 miles an hour, and I won that race with my Camaro. That was crazy, but we were kids.
Okay, my name is Raul Perez Jr. I was born in Caldwell Memorial Hospital in 1964 and raised here at the labor camp, the Caldwell labor camp. And I brought my first few years, I grew up here and went to the school here with Mrs. Ward and the other volunteers that were there. I remember in the mornings, before my parents would go out to work in the fields, they would drop us off here at the school. and we would stay there all day. And of course, the volunteers there took care of us while our parents were working out in the fields. And I remember we used to have talent shows there at the labor camp school. And I remember in the mornings, the first thing they did is they would give us breakfast. And every morning we had cereal for breakfast. And then we were involved in arts and crafts here at the school. And then also, right after lunch, I remember them putting us to sleep in the gymnasium, or the floor, what they called. And they had cots. And I remember always looking forward to waking up after lunch, because they would always give us a treat, and they would give us ice cream after we woke up. And then about that time was when our parents would come in from the fields, and they would pick us up and take us back to our apartments. And another thing I recall when I was young living here, I remember my father, my uncles, and the rest of the older men fighting forest fires. And the buses would show up, and they'd line up and get ready to go and fight forest fires in their yellow uniforms. And I always looked forward to my father coming back, because every time the firefighters came back, they always brought candy for their kids. And that was one of the things we always looked forward to, seeing our parents come back, our father, and bringing treats for us kids and our neighbor friends. And that was something that would make us very happy as well. And also seeing our fathers coming back home. And a lot of the families would just be outside playing baseball. We'd play baseball. We used to play bingo. And a lot of guys would play the accordion and guitars. And that was one form of entertainment for the families. And they used to have dances in the school also. And most of the time we spent most of our time here at the labor camp with family and friends, and just talking or reminiscing about the history of our family and how we all ended up coming here to Idaho. My grandfather, both on my mother's and my father's side, they came from Mexico. One of my grandfathers was a bracero, and he came up here, contracted to come up here from the border towns. I think it was McAllen, Texas. And then my other grandfather came from Eagle Pass, Texas. And they all came up here as braceros. And that's how we ended up here at the labor camp. I guess one of the things I remember is there used to be a barn in the back over here. And a lot of the kids would go over there to play around the barn. But they always told us never to go in there because the boogeyman lived there. So our parents never wanted us to go in there, but we still got in there a couple of times, and it was always dark, and the only thing that ever scared us was the barn owls that were in there, and we'd start running out of the barn thinking it was the boogeyman. But just the most interesting things that happened here was just, again, when the men were fighting forest fires, they'd come in the buses, and everybody would be excited to see their husbands and fathers come home from 20, 30 days of being out in the fires. And we were very privileged to live here. We were able to go to school, learn English, and we really appreciate all the help that all the volunteers did at the school. And because of that, we were able to continue on to higher education, go to high school, graduate, and then pursue other careers. And so I'm very blessed to have this opportunity. I was able to work for American Airlines for 17 years, and I was able to travel all over the world. And just knowing the fact that I grew up here in this area, and to be able to meet very famous people and interesting people, all of that was possible because my schooling and also the way I was brought up here at this labor camp, and to open the doors for my future. So I'm very grateful to the state of Idaho and all those who made this possible. And thank you again for giving us a great life and hopefully a great future to come. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Homer Gomez. I am from McAllen, Texas. To me, this day is a very special day. It's like growing up again, back where I was a young kid, and really this is my home. This is where I have all my friends. I have a 6 generations family. My parents came down here for the agriculture business and working in the fields, and beautiful stories. I remember one of the greatest stories that I had a great friend of mine that I met when she was a volunteer for the Red Cross. At that time I had 3 jobs. Early in the morning I would go to the field and work in the fields, in the sugar beet field. Come home, take a shower, and run over to downtown Caldwell and work for J.C. Penney's, which I worked for them for a few years. And after that, we retired the evening working for radio station KCID. I think it was 1490 in the corner where the world turns. I had a program there. We had a Spanish program that was called Homer Gomez with Mexican Melodies under Idaho skies. One of the greatest moments that I had, I remembered a friend of mine, this young lady's stepfather invited me to have an opportunity to take his stepdaughter to a junior prom, and that was at Lake Lowell. To me, that was an experience because I had such a wonderful time with these beautiful people that I met, and I've seen them going through life. Always thought what had happened to them after I was gone, and they were very successful people, retired probably. I think they're retired registered nurses. And they keep on going. That was one of my most memorable times, meeting people like them. It was great. I don't remember of any other time other than enjoying going around with my friends, going downtown to the swimming pool and spend some time at the park. It was a great, great time. We, the guys that had to work in the field, there was not much to do. I remember the Nava family, that a couple of kids from them and other guys, we used to walk from the labor camp towards town, and we stride 2 and 2 on each side of the road with a gunny sack, and we pick up any empty bottles of beer that was thrown out, and if they were not broken, we'll take them and go to town and sell them. And with that money, we'd go to the swimming pool and stick around the park, and sometimes we'd go to the theater. I think it was Fox Theater, and I don't remember the theater in Nampa. Well, we used to go up there too and spend some time at the park, right by there where a military jet used to stand, and enjoy those beautiful flowers and walk around with the girls that we knew, some friends. It was a beautiful time, beautiful time. Well, one of the funny stories that happened to me was one of my brothers had an accident driving one of my dad's truck, and I had borrowed that vehicle, and he flipped that vehicle while going too fast and making a sudden turn, and I got the whipping of my life that time. And I had a friend of mine, he was a legend, a professional football player down here in the Caldwell area, that another friend of mine that lived in California, they kind of helped me, and they told me, you need to get out of here because your dad is kind of too strict on you. So I left the area. Ray McDonald helped me with some money, and I left the area and went to California. I didn't get too far. I think I didn't even get it to the Nevada line, and my parents had to pick me up. I was stopped by the bus was stopped by the local police, and I had to get off that bus and wait for my parents to come over. Through the trip coming back, my dad kept asking me what the reason you're going to California. So I kept telling him, I went to work. I wanted to work. And he says, well, do you like to work? And I said, yeah, I love to work, What else could I say, Well, Lord and behold, when I got back here, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning the following day, and my dad gave me an axe, and there was a tree, one of those windbreakers that was down, and he said, I want you to go out there and make that tree and make it into a firewood. So that was a long time coming in the morning. After work, I had to go out there. Saturdays and Sundays, I had to go out there and chop down that tree to firewood. And One story that I learned, and I said, you know what? I won't run away from home no more. I'll just stick around.
I'm Dolores Gonzalez, and this is my husband, Jesus Gonzalez. We were here first in May of '67. We were here for 4 years, and then we left, and then we came again with a child, and we lived right across the park. We were here for about 3 years. And then we left, and now we live in McAllen, Texas. We've been there since 1970.
79. 79. Well, we used to play baseball here. And
well, my oldest son, he burned his hands in the stove. That was kind of bad, but that's something that happened. And we had 3 kids here, and we were very happy, appreciative of what we had. And so now that I see the improvements that they've done, it's like an awesome thing. Continue with the work that you're all doing, and it does help because the kids become the value what they do have.
I came with my uncle.
And I married him, so I came here.
He used to live over here on this side. And
you came to work?
Well, I came to work here. I'm from McAllen, Texas. And he told me to come over here with him. So I asked for permission, and then I came over here with them.
You were 17? That's why you had that permission?
No, about 16, I think I was when I came over here.
Oh, we get up at 4 in the morning, go to the fields, got back like at 6 in the afternoon, showers, get ready for the next day. It seemed like that was from Monday to Friday.
Yeah, we had to fight for the shower. Everybody said, I'm first, I'm second. And we waited.
We had to take turns for showers.
And I was here until when they were making those blocks. They started over there when they were. I used to live right there across the street.
We go to church first thing on Sunday, and then we go to do our laundry, and then we go shopping for dinner or for our food, and then we just come home, and we did enjoy the park. We would have the kids and just he would play baseball in the weekends, and he used to drink.
We used to sit right here.
That's about it.
As I say, that's a real old tree right there. All of them are old.
Okay, my name is Marisela Perez Pesina, and I guess I can say I started living here at the labor camp probably as a twinkle in my daddy's eye, because my parents lived here at the labor camp. They actually met here in 1962, and then they married here in 1963. So I came from Caldwell Memorial Hospital in probably the first week of August and set up camp, per se, in the little cabins behind the store. So I lived here until I was about 6 or 7 years old, and my father worked for some farmers, and they provided housing. So we moved out. I'm thinking about 1971 or 72. Moved out towards the Notice area, but we had good times here. My earliest memories of living here at the labor camp were living at the little cabins behind the store. And one of the things that I remember a lot is when my parents, or I don't know if it was my parents or Tito, bought us a plastic swimming pool, and we would go swimming in these little tiny swimming pools with Tito's daughters, Aurelia and Elsa. So we had a lot of fun here. The little houses were small, so everything, you had your kitchen, your bedroom, all within arm's reach. And one of the things I remember, and I think I remember it because we had pictures of it, was when the day the man landed on the moon, which was the summer of, I'm going to say, this is where my history is bad, but 67, 68 maybe, in those times. But what I remember is that Mom and Dad told us, okay, stand in front of the refrigerator, and the TV was on top of the refrigerator, and of course the man was on the moon, and we were, that was a happening moment, and we still have those pictures. So I remember that and where we were just because of the pictures that my parents took. I also remember my dad going to working with, I don't know if it was BLM back at that time, but it was with the firefighters, and I remember him being gone, and it was something very sad for us because my dad was always home, and when he came back, he always had a lot of candy. We'd get really excited, and some scratchy, woolly blankets that we did not like. But I remember the buses dropping them in, the firefighters off right by the post office, and we would be so glad when my dad would show up, and we'd get all excited. But as an older person, as a teenager, my dad was a farm labor contractor, so a lot of his people that worked in his crews lived here at the labor camp. So that is, we always were with Father when he was doing payroll or dropping off checks, or as I got older, he'd do, I'd come out here and fill out the W-4s and I-9s for payroll. So I got to meet a lot of the people and felt a lot of compassion for a lot of the farm workers, and it was a great place to live. A lot of really good memories I had here, trying to hide from my dad when I was cruising and trying to find my soulmate here at the labor camp. But it was a lot of fun, and have great memories, and I love calling it home. Thank you.
My name is Elizabeth Archuleta Lerma. I was born in Monte Vista, Colorado, but I was raised here in Idaho. We came to Idaho in 1956. My favorite memories that I'll cherish forever is just the friendship and the family that was united. We had lots of fun. We made our own fun. I remember going to the store, and we'd sit under these trees and watch all the guys go by. We'd go to the dances, and we'd go to the drive-ins in Parma. But I think the unity, the family was so important. We all got along. We helped each other out. I can't even describe it any better than that. Familia. It was an adjustment to live in town. I think we went into mourning when we had to leave, to tell you the truth. We played, we lived in one of the homes, and there was a big football field there, or a field, but we used it as a baseball field. Lots of fun, lots of baseball. There's so much that I want to say, but I know, right now I'm kind of blank, but I just want everybody to know this has been wonderful. Lots and lots of family, good friends. You'd buy me something, I'd buy you something. We'd share, we did everything. If you were heartbroken, we were heartbroken. So I was very privileged to live here, and I love everybody here. And this is my best friend, Amparo Rendon.
I'm Amparo Rojas Rendon, and I was born in General Terán, Nuevo León, Mexico. And we came in 1953. That's what my older sister informed me, not 1956, as I first stated. And my first friend was Liz Archuleta. We have been friends for years and years. We went to school together. I graduated in 1966 and Liz in 1967. And the most wonderful memories that I have of my friends here is that nobody made me feel like I was handicapped. If I had surgery, one of the girls would carry the crutches, the other two girls would carry me around, and we went all over to the Parma Drive-In Theater, movies on Sundays. And like Liz says, when we left the labor camp, we did go into mourning because this was our family. We knew everybody and everybody knew us. And we sat, as a matter of fact, I think we sat right here under this tree and flirted with every single boy that went by and waved at everybody. Wonderful memories, and this is the most organized reunion, and we're having a ball.
My name is Barbara Espinoza. My name is Brenda Espinosa Howard. We moved here to Idaho in 1964 after my mother gave birth to us. And prior to that, our father lived here at the labor camp when he was
14 years old.
14 years old.
And back then, when he moved here, the barracks, they were wooden, just one room, and there was still some Japanese people living here at that time.
My fondest memories of living here in the labor camp are of all the beautiful people that we met. It was just like a big family. Everybody was rich in heart and soul. If you lacked anything, somebody was always there to help you. And it was beautiful memories. We made a lot of good friends, great people. And this reunion has reunited us with a lot of those folks
many friends
from many years ago.
We used to work in the fields.
Yeah. We'd get up early in the morning and to the smell of homemade fresh tortillas. Our mother already had a stack of fresh tortillas, had our breakfast ready, and we'd get ready for school and go to school. After school, we'd come back, and it was just, we'd do our chores. We'd have a few chores, and then we'd get out and have a little fun with our friends. Walk around, play marbles, just go to another friend's home, visit over there, have something to eat over there, because everybody would always offer you something to eat.
And then when we were teenagers, they used to have a teen center here every Wednesday, so we would all go there and do all kinds of activities. It was great.
Well, my father, he came with his, our grandparents, his mom and dad, to work in the fields. That's what brought him to Idaho to begin with. And then they would work in the fields and go back either to Colorado or Arizona. And then when my father got married to our mother, he came back here and we lived here until we were able to move into town, into Caldwell. One of the things that we weren't supposed to do, the rooftops on these cinder block apartments were flat, and they had the brick dividers like they still do. We would climb on those and get on the roof, although we weren't supposed to.
And another thing, we would go and sneak out and go and climb the tower, which we weren't supposed to either, and we'd write our names up there.
I didn't, she did.
Yep.
And this is where I learned to ride a motorcycle. The labor camp. I learned how to drive here also. Worked in the sugar beets, cleaning sugar beets.
Chopping onions.
Chopping the onions. And our other older siblings, they worked in string beans, peas, cleaning them, harvesting them.
Yep. Yes, I live in Nampa now. I've lived there for, gosh, many years.
And I live in Middleton, out in the country, and just working and just embracing every day of life. It's been filled with many blessings, and very grateful for all that's been bestowed upon us and our family.
Well, my name is Jose Enrique Olvera, and I live on this labor camp from 1960 to 1968 during the harvest season. And I don't know, I was just a kid, so to me everything was just fun. Working on the fields and then just come over and enjoy myself. I used to play baseball on this field. And during the afternoons, we used to gather back there on the at the labor camp store and just listen to the music. But that's pretty much it. I mean, we don't do very much of anything. That was our typical day. Well, we used to come from Texas. We live over in Crystal City, Texas, and but actually we went to several states, like California, Oregon, Michigan, Ohio. But we always come back to Caldwell, here to this labor camp. Well, we just hang out around, you know, because there wasn't much to do.
We don't have no televisions, and all we have is just a radio. So normally just listen to the radio. Oh, I live here downtown in Caldwell. Actually, I've been living here around Caldwell the rest of the time until now, till the present time. Yeah. After that, I used to work for J.R. Simplot. I'm retired right now.
Hi, my name is Marcela Garcia. Now Marcela Garcia Cardona. I'm married. I lived here at the labor camp for many, many years. Typical day for me was getting up, going to school, and that's when I was probably about 15 years old. Came home, we did our chores, helped my mom around the house, and of course there was probably at that time there was like 7 in one of the barracks that had 2 bedrooms and just the 1 kitchen. So our bedroom where the girls slept in, there was 5 girls and 2 boys. I'm sorry, I didn't count my mom and dad. There was more than that. We used to stack up our beds because we used to have bunk beds and they were stacked up in 3, so we all had a place to sleep. But yeah, we come home from school and we had our chores to do, and my dad would take us out probably, we'd come home and get into our work clothes and take us out to the field to go do probably maybe an acre of blocking beets, or if the onions were in season, we'd work for an hour out in this hot sun. And we did that every day after school. On the weekends, we'd go work all day. On Sundays, we'd work half a day. So we were going to school, doing our chores, and working. We didn't have a regular childhood like kids do nowadays, where they go to the movies on the weekend, or they are on the phone talking to their friends after school. We did our homework and we did our chores and we went to work, and that was a typical day for us. Actually, most of the kids did, actually all of the kids, because our neighbor who was a contractor, he would take all the kids in his pickup and load it up and take us all the way out to Grandview or Melba, and that was all desert out there. It was super hot. I mean, back then the hot suns were of 105, 110 sometimes, or at least it felt that way, but we'd work on the fields until we were done, and he would drive us all the way over there, and I mean, he'd have a pickup full of probably 15 kids, all of us together. Stories, actually, yeah, there's stories that I can share with you as far as back then, our labor camp here was like our theater, our going to the park, our picnics, everything took place in the labor camp. We didn't have a car, so we didn't go anywhere other than the labor camp. And here in the labor camp we have what's called the teen center, and that's where everybody hung out, all the teenage kids did. We had a guy that used to come in and teach us how to play the guitar. We had a basketball coach, so the guys played basketball. We had a drama, we had, that was our entertainment, and that was probably the highlight for me because I was the oldest growing in my home, and that was my entertainment that I could do. I mean, I couldn't go out with the girls to the movies downtown. I think I didn't go to town until my parents took us to go buy us clothes, and that was it. That was the highlight. There wasn't a whole lot of excitement in the labor camp, except all you did was just work, and that was it. That was mainly what we did growing up. My family came from Texas. We migrated here every year for the work. Originally from McAllen, Texas, but after a few years here, my father decided to make a go at it and see if we could actually survive a winter here without field work. So he got a job working for Brunel Tires, or back then it was called OK Tire Store. And he worked there recapping tires. And then he had a night job also, which he did. So he worked day and night for the whole winter, and we survived. And from then on, he decided that he liked it here and he was going to raise his kids here. and he was going to make sure that we went to school, and that actually winters were better for me because we didn't have to work in the fields, and we could go to school and come home and do chores and watch television because we got a TV. And that was the highlight for me too, having a television, because we actually never had one when I was younger.
Yo soy Raúl Pérez. I am Raúl Pérez, and I come to Idaho in 1955. I come from Eagle Pass, Texas, and I live in here in the labor camp for almost 15 years. And after, I go living in the farm ranchers. I work for farmers, and I moved to Caldwell in 1980. And when I come here, I have 15 years old, and now I got 73. And I'm married here. And when I live in here in the labor camp in 1963, I married in Boise, Idaho, and my wife come from Texas too, and I raised four kids. And after, I still working here in onions, and trabajé en la cebolla, el betabel y la papa, y manejé troque por 52 years, y ahorita tengo 73 años, y tengo mi historia de haber vivido aquí en el campo cuando eran barracas, y recuerdo que veníamos de Texas, nos mandaba el señor José Castañuela, era el crew leader que mandaba gente de todo el Valle de Texas, del Río, de Eagle Pass, de Ciudad Acuña y también de Laredo, todo el South of Texas, North of Mexico. Gente de adentro de México no venía mucho en ese tiempo, hasta los 75, 80 venían ellos para acá. Llegué en una troca de un contratista, el 1955, venían unos 30 y tantos personas, familias, hombres y mujeres y niños. Hicimos una semana para llegar del Águila aquí a Caldwell, Idaho. Tenía 15 años, ya. Venía con mi papá y mis hermanos, ya. Y mi mamá vino del 56, juntos. Y ahí pues compramos un mueble, una pickup 1948, Chevrolet, y andábamos en ella, para el West de Texas y para Arizona. Yeah. Bueno, un día normal de trabajo era de 6 de la mañana hasta las 4 o 5 de la tarde. Un trabajo duro de bloquear betabel, thinning beets, piscar papa y cebolla, y trabajar en el hub, y el último el betabel, levantar el betabel hasta en octubre, noviembre. Se acababa el trabajo y nadie se quedaba aquí porque estaba frío y nos íbamos para el West de Texas o Arizona y luego para Texas. Oh, no, fui 6 años en la frontera y fui un año a la high school nomás, un año. Yeah. Aprendí mi inglés lírico. Y ahorita pues estoy contento de estar aquí y hacer mi vida aquí en Idaho, y soy un emigrante que por 57 años he ido para Texas y nunca he dejado de ir cuando tengo mis vacaciones, y ahora he regresado y ahorita tenemos ¿cómo se dice? Una reunión de todos los que vivíamos aquí en el campo. Y pues estoy orgulloso de haber venido aquí a Idaho y seguir trabajando, y tengo mi familia aquí en Idaho, en Caldwell, Idaho, y mis amigos también. Y doy gracias a Dios primeramente, a Jehová Dios, que estamos con vida, y también a todos mis amigos y mis farmers, que son bastante. He trabajado con 18 rancheros y pues estoy contento, estoy bien, todavía trabajo un poco, y que pienso seguir hasta que Dios me deje con vida. Muchas gracias.
My name's Abel Garcia. We lived here at the labor camp. We came here like in 1972. Started working in the fields when we were kids. I come from a family with got 4 brothers, myself and 2 sisters. Single parent mom. She'd take us to the fields and work every year. We ended up staying for, I don't know, 8, 9 years.
Where did you come from?
We came from Dayton, Oregon. That's where we were originally from, McVinville, Dayton area. And we ended up here in the labor camp, and we're still here. Not at the labor camp, but we're still in Caldwell, Idaho. Went to school here. We graduated here. We all went to school here. And got married in 1988. All my kids are also from here. So we never did leave this area. Yeah, back then it seemed like life was easier though, but it was pretty difficult because back in that time we were struggling with finance. The little apartments there, the little apartments, they're only 2 bedrooms, so I never had a bedroom, so we sleep on the floor, and we made it though. You know, we made it work. Sleep on the floor, and we shared rooms, and well, we didn't have much money or stuff, but we used to rent bikes here for 25 cents an hour. No, 25 cents a day, I think. There was a guy here by the name of Gelasio. He'd rent bikes for 25 cents a day, so we'd get bikes and marbles. We really didn't have anything to play with, so we did a lot of karate and boxing and kickboxing and wrestling. That's how we grew up. We'd go to the canal there to catch crawdads, and you know, there was a farmer down there that used to pay us $5 for every dog that we took him because they were killing his cattle. So we used to go down there and catch the wild dogs and take it to him. That was pretty interesting.
Were there a lot of wild dogs?
Well, they were just running in packs, and they'd go down and kill his calves. 5, 6, 8, you know, they're running packs. But it was pretty fun living here. A lot of people used to come from the south to work. They'd come every year, and I look forward to seeing my friends. They used to come every year. They'd come every year, and they'd come looking for me, and we've been friends ever since.
Are there any people?
My name is Aurelia Flores. I was born in 1967 at Caldwell Memorial Hospital, and they brought me home to El Campo, and I lived here for 30 years. My family ran the store, La Tiendita. My dad opened that in 1958, so pretty much I grew up there, and I worked there and lived here that whole time. That we got to meet a lot of people because the kids love to hang out there. It was a hangout spot, and so and it was also a hangout spot for teenagers when they were recording, and so it was fun. It was a playground out there. We helped my mom and dad. They made chorizo and barbacoa, and they also opened up one of the first bakeries in Mexican bakeries in Idaho. That it was called La Cucaracha, and it was an old building out here that they've torn down since. But yeah, it's just working together and having fun. Typical day in our life. Well, the summers were the best. Of course, we'd get up and we were out running around riding our bikes at 8 o'clock, and that was common for all the kids. We were climbing trees. We had a lot of apricot trees out here. It was a lot of fun. For some reason, the water tower out here just drew us. And we were always hanging out there and at an old barn that was back towards the back that is gone now. But the camperos used to shoo us away all the time, but we were always there because someone was always trying to climb it. That's what we did. We just basically played all day long until dinner time. And in the wintertime, it was sad because everybody left. People didn't stay and live here year-round back then like they do now. People, they'd migrate back to either Texas or California or Mexico. And so the winters were long, and we were in our houses most of the time, but yeah, we were always ready for summer. My mom was born in San Antonio, Texas, and my dad was born in Albuquerque, near New Mexico. And they were married in 1963, and my dad brought my mother up here. He was here before, way back in the 40s, actually working in the field work. There was a lot of tragic stories. It was sad. Sometimes it got rowdy, really rowdy. There was a lot of drinking back in the 70s and 80s. I remember the first time I ran into someone that was drunk. I thought he was, I was about 11 years old. I'd never seen anyone drunk, and I thought he was really sick. But another story, and it was so funny, was when I was about 6 years old, me and some other kids went to the post office and thought we'd open the boxes and see what's inside. And so I got on my hands and knees, and my friend stood on my back, and she picked the lock on some mailboxes and took out mail and just threw it away in the trash. And I was about 6 or 7 at that time, and shortly thereafter the FBI came knocking at my mom's door, and boy, I was in trouble. Yeah, it was a federal offense that I learned. But yeah, that was the thing that sticks out most. I got spanked that day. And it was awesome out here. I mean, it was the best childhood you can have. We knew everybody. We just ran around here like this whole place was our playground. And we got to know so many people. And the special part of it was just the community. The community out here, the things we all had in common. That's what brought us together, and it was awesome, and I'm glad we were having this reunion. And it's awesome to see all these people and where they've gone, and I just love it out here.
My name is Guadalupe Ramirez Jr. I was born in Rupert, Idaho, but spent about 10 years here in the Caldwell labor camp from 85 to 95. I have 2 younger brothers that actually grew up here, and family environment here was conducive to making a good living. My parents both were migrant farm workers when they were younger, and they also came to live here at the labor camp in their teens. I'm talking back in the mid-50s. So back in 85, by then my parents had settled in Texas, and my father was facing foreclosure on his house, or on the house. So by then, me being the oldest was around 15. My brother after me was 14, and the third one was around 12 or 11. So my father sat down with us and told us about our situation with the house, and we decided to migrate. So 85 was the first year that we actually all, as a family, came to Caldwell here at the labor camp. That first year, we worked the fields here locally, the potatoes, sugar beets, the onions. We did a lot of that for the first several years. My mother eventually became a volunteer of the Adelita, the little house school here, and she absolutely loved it. What she liked more than anything was taking care of the kids from the labor camp. She grew to love them as her own. That first year, she was nominated and actually was voted Volunteer of the Year because of that passion, of that love that she felt here. And, you know, her wanting to be a teacher ever since she was young, she's basically living out her dream here at the labor camp. So there's a lot of sentimental value for us, the Ramirez family. My father, he passed away last year, And the fact that he worked here as an employee for the labor camp means a lot to me, being here at this reunion. He worked for about 5 years, I think. In that time, he was able to build a rapport with the residents here, as well as the staff and people there at the office. But really, the thing that stands out for me is how the labor camp became a haven for us as migrants, as people, you know, having a place to sleep, a place to live, a place to call home was something that we strongly felt here at the labor camp. My two youngest brothers were raised here, Rigoberto and Raulio. They went to school here, and they saw the labor camp go from barracks to two-story homes that you see behind us. The offices here also were modified, upgraded, and a lot of that is something that my younger brothers share or talk about. You know, how my father would get here after finding a job in town, which is how we refer it. Caldwell is here in labor camp, El Pueblo, or town. So my father would get here after work, and he would just enjoy spending dinner or over dinner with my younger brothers and my mom, and talk about the day. My mom, of course, could never stop talking about her work. I mean, sometimes parents would show up at the house and knock on her door so that, you know, she could help out with things going on with their family environment. As far as the changes I've seen here have been very positive. The fact that we have, after so many years, a close-knit community feeling about the labor camp, it really just says a great deal about the people, our heritage, our customs, and our culture, and how it contributed to the local economy and to the local agricultural development. We're a proud people, and we have this strong community involvement that this event, being the first, is most definitely not going to be the last. So on behalf of everybody that's here, the steering committee, congratulations. On behalf of the Ramirez family, Guadalupe Ramirez, rest in peace. Lucila Ramirez, my brothers, myself, Guadalupe Ramirez Jr., Claudio, Ramiro, Rio, and Raul, we want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to come together like this. Rigoberto, having grown up here, he's going to be performing, and he's really excited about that, you know, coming back and giving back to the Caldwell labor camp. But if anything, to sum it up, the best way I can put it is a lot of lives have been transformed here at the Caldwell labor camp. And as you will see, it is something that we embrace and we will continue to support.